Welcome to the Iowa Veterans Network, where we will try to connect veterans, companies, and supporters to each other and supply information to make better sense of the military and civilian worlds. This is Frank Spizzetto, host of this new channel dedicated to engaging conversations. Thank you for checking us out. Hey, good morning, Chad. Thanks for joining us today. Today we got Chad Cook. He is the Reserve Component Transition Assistance Advisor here in Iowa, and he's going to talk to us a bit about himself and kind of about your military service and what got you into doing what you're doing.
Good morning, Frank. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Okay, quick military bio myself. I enlisted in the Naval Reserve at 17, my senior year of high school. And I started out in the Naval Reserve and did that for 6.5 years. And then I transferred to the Iowa Army Guard in Southwest Iowa, my first teaching job down at Corning. And then I've been in that, and then decided, since I was going to stay in, that I needed to look for advancement. And so I went through officer candidate school down at Camp Dodge and commissioned in 1998.
Oh, wow.
And then in January of 2004, I was given the order that I would be going to Afghanistan with 34 members of our battalion, and we were going to be attached to the 168 Battalion. And at that point in time, that was the largest mobilization since World War II. Since then, they've surpassed that. But anyway, we were on active duty from 15 months, from March of 2004 to July of 2005, year in country in Afghanistan. Did that, and then came home and I served 4 additional years, and I retired in late January of 2010 after 24 years.
Wow.
Other things that I've done besides my service, I was a commissioner for Veterans Affairs for Story County for 6 years, I believe from 2007 to 2013. I served in higher ed as the Director of Military and Veteran Services for Upper Iowa University from November of 2015, November of 2018. And then I was a DVOP for the state of Iowa for a short time. And I did that pre-pandemic and left that during the pandemic. So all of these, plus I was in education for 32 years, mainly as a classroom teacher. That was my full-time gig. But anyway, all of these experiences have helped me in this current assignment.
Wow.
As Reserve Component Transition Assistance Advisor.
Yeah, you've kind of been through a lot of neat areas that give you really good perspective on what it is you do. Now, you and I had talked previously about there's 47 or 10 major points that you kind of have that you go through with the RCTAA program. Walk us through what those are, because
yes, there's 10.
No.
Yep. A Reserve Component Transition Assistance Advisor, RCTAA for short, is in education terms a guidance counselor that helps Reserve Component service members, veterans, and their families, making them aware of benefits and how to access those benefits. In a lot of ways, we're a resource referral conduit. In that, if there's a concern in one of our 10 areas that I'll go over shortly, we refer them to someone that can help them, and basically help make the connection, try to provide a warm handoff, and then do follow up to see if they were helped,
That's awesome.
or if we need to do further assistance. There are 10 areas, and and a lot of times, it is overwhelming to people, when you're looking for something, and people don't know what they don't know, and relevance is a matter of perspective for different people in their different phases of their careers or their lives. And sometimes due to stress of lack of resources, lack of time, or just not knowing and drawing dead ends, we need a third party resource to help us
Yes.
in that respect. So those are all things that we do.
Okay.
But yeah, the 10 benefits, the first one, state and local benefits, making people aware of what the state of Iowa or their respective communities may provide and what they would need to have, to help access those. A lot of it is the DD 214 and having that. Second one is VA assistance for physical and mental health. And a question I will ask folks in unit briefings would be, can I have a show of hands of how many of you are enrolled in the VA healthcare system? And, and just kind of explain the virtues of that. And with mental health, I may say, I can provide you with 3 resources that are local and free to you, and just having that knowledge. The next one, of course, tying into that, disabled veterans program assistance, is, and I may in a room of 50 service members, maybe ask, are there any of you that are currently receiving monthly compensation along with your drill pay? And, and you may get 2 or 3, the more experienced folks, or on the Army end of it, those that have right shoulder patches a lot of times. And, and those are the folks that, especially if they're getting ready, such as the 2nd Brigade of the Iowa Army Guard, to get ready to go again, making sure that they have that shut off so that when they are on active orders, they're not going to be drained financially.
That's an important aspect, because if you don't want to be paying for something you're twice, basically, your service and out of your paycheck. So
right, and that's a lot of it, and so this fall and spring, when they're going through these soldier readiness processing stations, my intent is to have forms there so we can minimize that pay issue anyway.
Wow.
The next area is education and training assistance, and just making people aware of the different chapters of education benefit that the VA provides. Also, it may be a case of federal tuition assistance, particularly for the Army and Air Guard members, making them aware of that and how to access that. Also reminding to traditional Army and Air Guard members that they do have 1606 money that they can use for benefit as well.
What's
and just kind of
money?
That's the Montgomery GI Bill money.
Okay.
that if a 17-year-old kid were to enlist in the Iowa Guard or the Army Reserve or one of the reserve components, and they're traditional college age, and they hadn't been on active duty, and they hadn't deployed and all that, this is the one that they have, that the unit has to provide a memorandum letter basically saying, yes, so and so has completed basic training, and their AIT or tech school or A school, whatever branch you are, and then they get their certification certificate or proof of letter, and then they give that to their school certifying official. And that, I believe the current rate is $432 a month that they would receive, that comes directly to them for educational benefits.
Wow. That's huge.
Or in the case of the traditional Army Reserve or reservists, that monthly haircut, razor blade, and gas money, that could help with that. So
yeah. Wow. All right. Didn't know about that one. Cool.
Next one's employment assistance, and just a lot of it is making people aware of home base Iowa, in our state, of home base Iowa, and what it can do and all that, and the virtues of it. And, and I make this case to all level of service member, folks that are maybe in between jobs or looking for something better. I know that it's a concern of all the reserve components that their service members may be underemployed, and helping connect the dots with that. A case I make with the younger service members, especially those that are in their senior year of college, And I'm not downgrading anybody's alma mater. I'm not downgrading anybody's alma mater's career services. However, 30 plus many moons ago, when I was in that case, our career services at my university was needed help. And I bring it up to them that this is a benefit of you being in uniform with home-based Iowa, especially with job coaching, resume tweaking, cover letter tweaking, mock interviews, all those connections, and helping get people job ready.
Yeah, home-based Iowa is getting it done here in Iowa. That's true.
And it's a benefit that not a lot of our service members know about because they haven't experienced it or tapped into it. So I try to make them aware that that's out there for them. The next one's health and life insurance. And, a lot of this is, I bring this up to folks that it's a benefit to theirs that they have already, but especially if they're looking to, either retire or ETS, deciding they've had they're done and that, and trying to make them aware of, you have an umpteen day window if you want to convert your SGLI to VGLI. You have, umpteen days, same thing with TRICARE. Also, different phases when people are getting ready for deployment, when people are coming off deployment, from that effective date of that on that DD 214, you have 180 days of full TRICARE that you did while on deployment. Then after that, you have to make a decision, and then try to refer websites so people can comparison shop, for what's best for them and their families. Try to do a lot of that with that. The next one's financial assistance. And I really, when I'm doing these unit briefings, I'm both reaching out to the service member as an individual, but also those of us that have been in leadership positions. Maybe for that E5 squad leader, E5 RE6 squad leader that may have folks under his or her charge, that might have financial trouble or have that short-term financial thing, and so trying to make them aware of what resources are there that may offer one-time emergency assistance and how to access that or encourage them to apply. Yeah. Also at this point in time, along with the VA benefits, I would encourage them to reach out to their county veteran service officer, which, as we know, in Iowa, 99 counties, we have 99 veteran service offices. Yep. And reaching out to those individuals. And if a person were to come up to me after the briefing for one-on-one and I had internet access, I would say, which community do you live in? And then clarify the county they live in. And then, if I could get access, I'll show them the building where their VSO is headquartered and say, please, I would recommend you make an appointment. That way they have dedicated time to help you and you have dedicated time, committed time to meet with them.
Yeah. Yeah. That VSO is a resource that a lot of vets don't either know about or just don't tap into for some reason. And I agree with you on that, Chad, because I encourage everybody I talk to, set an appointment, go talk to them. Yep. I mean, overload their office. The program will adjust to fit and take care of everybody. It's what it'll do, right? But if we go out there, we help support all veterans if we all use that resource, especially.
That's for sure. Justification through usage.
Yep.
Yep. Next one's legal assistance. And, I remind service members, particularly in this state, the Iowa Army and Air Guard members, that they have a JAG office that works full time at Camp Dodge, and it's their job is to advocate for them. Things that they are eligible for would be simple wills and powers of attorney. But if there's other areas that they might need legal advisement for, they could provide them with advisement and next steps, but they can't represent them because their main client is the Iowa Army or the Iowa National Guard, Army and Air. you know. But as service members, they are eligible for simple wills and powers of attorney.
Oh, wow.
And for the units that I've been briefing that are getting ready to go deploy, you know, I advise service members that, let's say their first deployment, they were single and it was just them they had to worry about, but now they're married and have families. I advise them that if they don't want to be pushed through a will update, you know, like cattle going through a chute, that maybe they make an appointment with the JAG during and dedicate time during the week to come down and update their wills.
Yeah. Plan ahead. It is one of the most sobering things we do when we're in the service, isn't it? I mean, I remember my first will thinking, wait, I'm 19. I don't need a will. Well, you do. And when you start adding the family, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm getting deployed. I guess I got to do this. It's a very sobering thought, but you're right. You got to plan ahead for this stuff, especially if you have a family.
Yeah. You know, and especially if you know you have the time, like what the current brigade does, you know, is planning that stuff out and checking those blocks,
Yeah.
you know, with that. Next one's relocation assistance. And what I try to encourage the service members in Iowa with is two things. First off, there's an office in the Human Resources office at Camp Dodge for the Army and the Air Guard, that it's their job that if someone has to move out of state for a job, for employment, it's their job to find them a position within the Iowa or within the Army Guard of that respective state, or the Air Guard within that respective state. And that applies to enlisted warrant officers and officers. That you're not doing it by yourself, that people are employed full time to help you do that. And then also within Iowa, I encourage them to talk to their county BSOs that they're moving to. Also, the chambers of commerce within those respective communities and counties as well, because Home Base Iowa does a lot of good stuff, but there isn't a one-stop shop sheet on the website that we can look and see, okay, I'm moving to Emmett County, the county seat of Emmett County, which I don't have memorized, my apologies, Emmett County, you know, may or may not have incentives, you know, to help you move in, you know. Story County has a one-time $3,000 assistance that if you're moving to the county, you can use, and you have within 2 years of after moving to Story County to put in for that. And so, and quite honestly, I didn't learn that until this spring. So it's not a very it's not publicized,
Yeah.
you know, but at the same time, researching and seeing, okay, this county or this community is a Home Base Iowa community. Are there any incentives to assist with relocation? You know, and for those of us that have done that have either had to, you know, cough up money for a down payment or for first month's rent, in addition to a place you already own, or, you know, having two house payments going, you know, every little bit helps.
Yeah, it does.
And then the last one is the effects of a career change. And, you know, maybe I sound philosophical on this, but, you know, a lot of it is, this is at every stage of a person's military career, you know, from the privates and lower enlisted that are coming back from basic and AIT or basic and tech school or boot camp, etc.
Yeah.
You know, where every second of their day was dictated to them for months, to all of a sudden, I'm either out in the job market or I'm a college freshman, and I'm not going to have somebody holding my hand or giving me the proverbial boot up the rear to get me to move me forward that I've had for umpteen months. You know, so there's that aspect of things. You know, and that's a career change. You know, and these folks learning to balance, you know, their military responsibilities that you're being paid for 2 days out of the month, and being a citizen 28 days out of the month. you know, and especially in Iowa where we have one installation and that's the headquarters of the Army Guard down in Camp Dodge. Other than that, throughout the 99 counties, we may not have that.
Yeah.
So helping people learn that balance, from the citizen soldier, let alone, once a year where you're getting ready to be gone for 15 days, or when you're getting ready to be gone for deployment or being put on orders for an extended time. Getting all the ducks in a row for that. Helping your family balance that while you're gone. And then helping folks readjust back.
Yeah, that adjustment. There is an adjustment period when you get out, whether you're in the Guard or on active duty, to how the world works, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And
very, very different.
And trying to find your place in it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that, I mean, that's the 10 major points. I know you do a lot of talks. You talk to a lot of units around the state. Is the RCTAA in every state? Is there a CHAD everywhere? How's that organized?
Yes. Yep. In the 50 states and 4 territories, there are RCTAs in all of them. Some of us, like myself, I'm the person for Iowa. Illinois, I have 2 peers, one for the northern part, one for the southern part. Wisconsin, same thing. And those are because of, Chicago and Milwaukee, respectively.
Oh, yeah.
Is what they have. And so, a lot of states have more than one, but nonetheless, based on population, based on, if there are active duty posts, installations and all that. So, yes.
That's a lot. That's a lot of information. So how do we connect with you if I'm in the Guard or Reserve and I'm like, or a spouse, and you said something that really strikes a note. I'm like, I haven't seen Chad give his lecture, speech, and information out to the unit. I think I need to reach out to him because I got questions. Do I go through my unit? Is there a website? How do I find you and try to talk to you about that?
Well, folks can look up the RCTAA program online, and then there's a QR code that may be there as in helping you locate your nearest RCTAA. There's QR code that has all of our names on it. And then there's one that's an intake form. And if a person were to complete the intake form and put an Iowa address on it, it comes right to my inbox.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep. Within the Iowa Army and Air Guard, they can reach out to the Family and Warrior Services office on Camp Dodge, and they have my information as well. And like I said, word of mouth is a powerful thing. And, so that's why I go to a lot of outreach events. And, there may be an older veteran that, may not think he or she applies, but I'll ask them, like, are you active with your Legion or VFW posts? And if they say yes, I will hand them one of my brochures with my information and say, would you please post this on your bulletin board or share this at your next meeting?
Yeah.
And so I've received some intake forms and phone calls and emails that way. And then the unit briefings, we do that. And then after a unit briefing, I will send either the readiness NCO or whoever invited me, I will send them a small PDF library of resources. And, that show how to, explain the benefits and how to access them and all that.
So. Yeah. I think you started off with, I can't remember if it was before we started our talk here, but you don't know what you don't know. And the more you, as a veteran or as a Guard and Reserve member, the benefits that are set up to take care of you and your family when you're serving the country or your state or whatever that is, they're available to take care of you and to help you through a lot of different situations that are actually, they're unique to being in the military. They just, whether you're Guard, Reserve, active duty, that they're there for you to utilize to help you in these scenarios that just are unique in our everyday life. And I really want to encourage everybody to take what Chad had to say and go check this out, because there's a lot of underserved service members out there who are struggling, and nobody's come alongside them and said, hey, pick up the phone or send an email, grab that QR code, send it on out. And we'll get that attached onto this here for everybody listening, so you can reach out and try to talk to Chad yourself.
Yes, awesome. Definitely. And the units are doing their job in regard to preparedness for missions through training. And that's important, because that's going to allow people to be able to do their jobs well, and in a downrange, keep everybody alive.
Yeah.
But that being said, people sometimes they need updated reminders of the benefits that are available to them. And so,
and those briefings get a little long in the tooth sometimes. I remember some of those, one briefing all in, those 2-3 days that you're going through all that stuff. It's important time. It's important time. I can say my 18, 19-year-old self probably didn't pay as much attention as he should have. But when I was a husband and 2 kids and one on the way, I tended to pay attention a little bit closer. So you're spot on, Chad. I really, really appreciate it. Well, I really do appreciate you being on today. We'll get your information out there so everybody can reach out to you, or if you're in a different state, reach out to that RCTAA person. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Frank. Have a good day.
Take care. Thank you for taking time to sit with us, and I look forward to catching up with you at a network event somewhere along the road.